morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I say that wholeheartedly. It is a great morning, and I appreciate you taking time to listen to and perhaps watch today's program. This is the Weekly Business Hour. I'm Rick Schisler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor, as well as being the founder of a website and a business community called One. That's the number one, bestconsult.com. So if you're in the mood today to talk about business, to learn some things that perhaps could even help your business be a better business, stronger, more profitable, then you're in the right place, because this is where Montgomery County businesses come, along with businesses around the world. With the advent of the internet, we have listeners all over the world to this program. This is where we come to talk about business ideas, talk about business situations and business challenges, and hopefully share solutions that could make a real difference in your business. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't listened to the show before, this show is being broadcast live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you'd like to watch as well as listen, simply go to Facebook or YouTube, look up the Weekly Business Hour page or channel, and then click on the live button, and you can watch as well as listen to the program. Also want to let you know, and I want to thank Mr. Keith O'Connell. He's our sponsor for today's program. Keith is the CEO of Closing Strong. It's a wonderful organization that provides business mentors and advisors for you, particularly in your small businesses from $1 to $40 million in revenue. Keith and his crew can help you. It's a wonderful approach he takes. He looks at what the purpose of your business and makes sure that you're aligned with it personally, or vice versa, that your purpose in life, what you choose to serve, is reflected in your business, and you build your business culture around that. You build your business, your customers, your vendors, everyone connected with your business based on your purpose. So if you're interested and curious, I encourage you, check Keith out at www.closingstrong.com. I want to remind you, too, during the program or even after the program today, that if you have a question, a comment about the show, one of our guests, or if you just have a general business question, I'd love to get those. Just drop me an email at onebestconsult@gmail.com. That's onebestconsult@gmail.com. Or if you prefer, call me. My direct number is 832-699-2132. That's 832-699-2132. Well, now that we've got all that done, let's clear the decks and let's jump into today's show. We're blessed to have a very special guest with us today. Adam Koch is with us, and he's going to talk about insurance and its impact on your business. And, oh, yes, we are going to touch on the coronavirus a little bit today. Can't ignore that big, huge elephant in the room, can we, Adam?
No, sir, cannot.
Well, Adam, I've got to ask you. I was looking at your website and whatnot to get prepared for the show today, and you have a couple of initials after your name, CSD, CSP. What do those stand for?
So essentially what it is, it's a consultative sales type, I guess it's a designation that allows me to be able to talk to different people, to work more towards the consultative side of this than it is just being a straight sales agent. So that's why it's very, very important that you work with agents that have some kind of designation. Just kind of means they went a little bit extra, make sure they knew what they're doing, get in there a little bit further.
Well, and I think that's, you in a sense, I'll tell you, heads up, you undersell that, because I think business insurance, you own a business, I've owned a bunch of them in my life, you got to have a business insurance consultant. You've got to have somebody who's on your side all the time, more than just selling you a product. I think it's critical, and I tell my clients that, and I talk about that on the show. So we are really lucky to have you in here, because you are a consultant with a lot of experience. Let's start off, though, but tell the folks a little bit about your business background. What brought you to today? You're the principal. You're the owner of the agency. Talk about that a little bit.
So how far back you want me to go? You want me to go all the way back to the beginning? Or?
Well, just talk about your business. I mean, what prepared you to be in business for yourself?
Well, I do have a degree in economics at A&M. I would like to think that kind of helped, but you know what? It's just like a number of degrees. You can get a degree in just about anything, and it may or may not pertain. But I feel like economics really worked really well for me. All right, so that's step one. Step two, I've always had a kind of a business mind, and I know that sounds kind of cliche, but I always wanted to run things my way, and maybe that's why when I was when I graduated from A&M, I took over and I was working as a number of I was working an apartment manager or a property manager for a number of apartments in the Waco area. And maybe because I was trying to do it my way, that may be why I'm no longer in that industry. Essentially, they found they could pay somebody, they could pay two people for what they could pay just for me. They felt the need to go ahead and relocate me to another position with another company, maybe. That's I guess a PC way to say I got my butt fired. So, and so we ended up over in this area, and I knew I never wanted to work for another industry or another corporate. Because to be honest with you, I make light of it. It was a very corporate reason why I was let go. I use that word corporate kind of lightly. I think we all know what we're talking about. There's a lot of politics at play, and I just don't play that well. And so I end up looking around. What can I start with limited income? What can I get into? And I really wanted to run my own business. Well, didn't have a whole lot of money in the bank. We had just adopted our daughter. We'd been married just a couple of years. We moved to Waco. We were there for a whole month before I lost my job, and so had nowhere to live. So it was rather scary and rather tough times. So to kind of wrap it all up. I found an entry point and I was at a recruiting event for Farmers Insurance. So I ended up working with a couple of people there, became a farmer's agent, and I was a farmer's agency for about a decade. In that time, I learned how to be a business owner, not just an insurance agent. I think that's key, is a lot of people get into the insurance business, especially when you're in the captive world like a Farmers, a State Farm, and Allstate. You become, it becomes being about an agent, not about being a business owner. And luckily I met some people that really changed my mindset and allowed me to think about this as a business, not just being an agent, another job, just selling insurance for somebody, all right? So with that mindset, I was able to kind of look back at my book of business, how I did things. Early on, we focused on business insurance. Never, after probably about 2 years, even with Farmers, I never put a marketing dime into writing your regular home and auto insurance, your personal lines. Never did it because it just wasn't as fun. And that's not to say it can't be fun. I didn't have as much fun with it. And so, I say this from time to time, it's kind of tongue in cheek. If I sell you a homeowner's policy and I screw up as an agent, well, I've screwed up you and your family. But if I screw up if I screw up your business policy, well, I've screwed up the owner and their family, as well as the employees and their families, and potentially even their customers and their families. So I like taking a little bit more risk.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yep.
Now, you started, I guess, in the insurance business out of necessity. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely.
So you found a business that you liked, and then you went through and you sort of sorted it out, if you will, and decided personal was one part of it, and I just didn't really feel a fit there, so I gravitated to commercial.
Correct.
And today, your agency is 100% commercial. Is
Absolutely.
that okay? Now, you said it wasn't fun on the personal side. What is fun about commercial insurance?
I get to talk to a lot of business owners. I get to talk to a lot of people that are a lot like me. So they may have more of a business mind. I get to learn from them some of the mistakes they've made. As well as I get to actually talk to them as an advisor. I get to tell them about the mistakes I've made, things I've really screwed it up early on. It's just more fun. It's more complicated. So a lot of the stuff that comes across my desk now, because we've kind of evolved our agency, a lot of the stuff that I get to work on are the more complicated cases. It's not simply your small two-man contractor going out and doing some painting for an apartment complex. It's not just necessarily goes. Now, I got people on my staff that'll do those all day long. It's not just the Main Street USA, bookstores, CPAs, retail establishments, radio stations. It's not just these guys that I deal with. Usually it's going to have more of an international feel, a much larger feel, a very complicated case, multiple business entities working as one. That's fun. I know it doesn't sound like fun, but that's fun. It's kind of weird, I know.
No, not really. It's like putting a puzzle together, and most of us like to put puzzles together. So
Yes, sir.
all the pieces have to fit, or it doesn't work, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me ask you about that. Okay, you're in commercial business insurance, your agency. When did you found that agency?
We did this back in 2004.
2004.
So we just celebrated our 16-year anniversary.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Tell me where the expertise is in your agency. Why do I do business with Adam Koch in the Koch Insurance Agency?
I've got our approach to customer service. And I know a lot of people talk about customer service and it's all about service, and it absolutely is important for most business and all businesses. For us, I take it personally. And what I mean by that is I look at the customer experience. The customer experience to me is the most important thing that we can provide. Anybody can sell you an insurance policy, whether it's right or wrong or not is the question. But anybody can sell it to you. It's the service I can provide to you when I'm focusing on your experience as a customer. So be that how you interact with us, who answers the phone, how they answer the phone, how you can submit requests to us, how we follow up with you to make sure that you understand where you're at, if it's something that takes multiple days to complete, you know where we're at on the process. The whole darn thing. We want to make sure that our customers, I guess the idea is to create a world-class following by creating that world-class service.
Right, and I feel very strongly, again, in your business that you are right up there with the lawyer, the accountant, whatever, the people I want to have on my team, not just to fight the battles, but to help me guide my business so that I follow the best business practices so I can build a successful business.
Correct.
And I think, again, the insurance agent, I grew up in an environment as in a family business. My dad believed in that very deeply. He sought out the best insurance agent that he could find, a consultative insurance agent, and that individual served my dad and in the business that he had, our family business, as we call it, very well over a period of number of years. So that's real important. But we've kind of come to the end of our first segment here, and you talk about customer experience. You talk about that's so important and world-class following. Is the end game there is you have satisfied customers and they refer business? I've always had the opinion that one of the best, if not the single best way for people in your industry to bring new business in is referrals. Is that true?
It absolutely is. If what I'm talking to right now are other business owners, entrepreneurs, what I can say is that the referral is key. One, that means you got satisfied customers, so that's a bonus, right? The next thing is the fact that when you're trying to get leads, you're trying to talk to new customers, and you're trying to build your business. A warm referral, somebody is going to give you, and again, cliche, you hear it all the time, know, like, and trust. You've already overcome some of those hurdles for that new person that you're trying to work with to know you, to like you, and if they're referred to you from somebody they trust, well, it's an automatic trust factor there.
Right. It's the name of the game is referrals. That's all
Yes, sir.
it is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've already come to the end of our first segment in our discussion and conversation with Adam Koch this morning. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope that you will stay with us. When we come back, we're going to dig a little more into the detail. We're going to talk about coronavirus and what coverages are out there, maybe in your current policy, maybe not. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
Not sure who to turn to when you have a problem in your business? Listen to the Weekly Business Hour on Lone Star Community Radio.
Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's radio station with talk, music, weather, and traffic for Montgomery County. Have a question or comment about one of our shows? Want to know how to reach a host? Just contact the station at irlonestar.com or call in and leave a message at 936-647-3776. Get involved with your community with Lone Star Community Radio.
What can the Better Living for Texans program do for you? You can learn how to increase your consumption of fruits and vegetables, choose foods that are relatively inexpensive and good to eat, make your food dollars last longer, prepare quick, nutritious meals, help your children learn how to eat healthier snacks, and much more. Our program is committed to helping people like you improve your health through providing research-based nutrition education in a friendly, cost-free, and relaxed environment. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
Hi, I'm Keith O'Connell, CEO, coach, and business mentor. I've spent 4 decades helping multiple entrepreneurs use my principles to take their businesses to the next level. My methods do not fix your problems, they help you fix them for yourself. I call this process closing strong. Contact me at 713-557-1639 or visit my website at closingstrong.com for a risk-free 30-minute meeting to see how I can help you. Because a business can only go as far as its leader can take it.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show.
If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community Radio.
It's all business talk on the weekly business hour every Monday at 11 a.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schisler, your host. And we are having, I think, a wonderful conversation about business insurance, commercial insurance. And our guest is one of the experts in the Montgomery County area, Adam Koch, who has the Koch Insurance Group. Adam, when we went to break, we talked a little bit about how you had gotten in the insurance business and whatnot, and we didn't quite finish that story. So let's finish that story up real quick, and then we'll move on to some of these nitty-gritty topics.
All right. So, yes, get to the topics where people start yawning, right? It's all about more insurance product. Honestly, though, when we started this thing, we were a farmer's agent for a decade. And I had mentioned I'd met some people that kind of had me think about this business more as a business and not just being an insurance agent. And really, that's the reason why I'm no longer an agent with farmers. And look, it's nothing against farmers insurance at all. It wasn't I hate you, you hate me. It had more to do with mindset. And our mindset was very, very, very small because we were hemmed in by what we call a captive mindset. If we could get to, $5 million, $10 million in premium, hey, we'd have it made. Why else do we need to do anything? And then I realized in the independent world, when we're talking about business insurance, we weren't even a blip on the screen. We weren't even the annoying gnat to these larger agencies out there, these billion-dollar premium agencies. And look, I've made my living at least being somewhat annoying, and so I wanted them to know who I was. So that's the reason why about 5 years ago we made that split. So we're no longer associated with farmers. And again, nothing wrong with them. They've got a fine product. There's beautiful, wonderful agents out there that really can take care of you. But as far as how I wanted to operate and how I wanted to the offerings I wanted for my customers, that's the reason why we went straight independent. Now we represent a number of different carriers for business insurance.
Excuse me, as I mentioned at the break, I personally, as a business advisor mentor, I encourage my clients when they buy insurance, unless their brother-in-law or somebody's in the business and they just got to do it, is to look for independent agents because the different markets, the dynamics of the markets, there's always changing things and situations that potentially you can benefit with better coverage, lower premium. There's just a win-win when you do an independent agency. And I think that's where business people, small business people need to seek their insurance if they have a choice. Well, let's kind of jump into some of the nitty-gritty. I guess we can't really hide from the elephant. Maybe we'll tackle it first, a couple bites at a time, perhaps, as they say. But coronavirus is an example of it's a disaster that's happening, like a hurricane or any other natural disaster, even though I guess it's natural in a sense that it's a virus. But it's upon us. It's a lot bigger. The world was not prepared for it. Which means probably the insurance industry was not necessarily prepared, but they're pretty smart people over there at Lloyd's of London and different places. They write these contracts up. So tell us, where are we as a small business person if we have a standard business policy or some of the other insurance that might be available? Do we have any kind of coverages?
Maybe. I know it's very non-committal, right? All right. So first off, I want to say that really the main difference between this and a hurricane. So we all know, weather related. This is much broader scale. Ask yourself what happens when the hurricane is over. What are the things that happen next? And that's reconstruction. That's everybody's having to rebuild. You have insurance money pouring in. You have your private money coming in. There's money being poured into local businesses through construction, through material supply, all this. So you have money coming into the economy. This, you're not going to have it. You're not going to have that money come into the economy afterwards because it's just a matter of getting back to normal business. There's not going to be the influx. Now, we're talking about governmental assistance, things like that. We're not even going to discuss any of that right now because right now it's not helping the small business. So I get a number of calls, and I wish I had a smoking gun that this is what every business needs to do, and there's not. The problem is it's almost a hunker down mentality. Right now, I've got 4 emails sitting here that I need to reply that have just come in. We've received multiple emails and calls from our current customers. What can we do? Business has dropped off. We've hit a brick wall. Our policy, I know, includes something called business interruption. What does that mean? How can we apply that to my policy? And the long and short of it, when we're talking about Montgomery County, we're talking about surrounding counties, we're talking about small businesses. And I'm not talking about just the mom and pops. I'm talking about somebody who's making $10 million revenue and less. Usually considered pretty, small business is not your multinational, big reach, which means funds are limited, right? So the policies that are available in the small business world, unfortunately, are going to have an exclusion that speaks directly to virus and claims that are derived through a virus, just like the coronavirus. So traditionally, what you would have is you would have a business interruption coverage on most policies, not all. And look, I want to put the disclaimer out there. This is by no means legal advice. You need to check with your agent. You need to read the specific wording on your policy before you take action. But this is a very generalized statement for most policies that you're going to see in this area. The business interruption coverage is going to be triggered when there's a physical property damage event. So you have that fire, you have that vandalism, you have that tornado that comes, it picks everything you own up and throws it to the four corners of the world. That's the trigger because it's going to take you as a business. Let's say a restaurant. Restaurant's going to take a good 6 months after the building is destroyed to possibly get back up and rolling. Well, that owner of that business is not making any money, but as a restaurant's an expensive business. You've got a lot of stuff that you have to keep paying even when you're not operating. So when you're not making revenue, you're still paying out, you're losing money left and right. So you could rely on your business income or your business interruption policy to pick up that lost revenue during that time. Even can pay for employee payroll during a period of time so you don't lose your prized employees as well. There is no trigger through a virus outbreak. It just doesn't pick it up. So people are leaning more to a secondary coverage on there. It's called civil authority for business interruption. So now the government, a governing body, the Houston rodeo shut down because of because permits were pulled or however that actually went down. They're no longer operating. We're at restaurants in Ohio and Illinois, and I believe I just read Kentucky. So this is things starting to spread. That are shut down. All they can do is either they can either do takeout or they can't do business at all. That's a civil authority telling you can't open it. So would your policy pick up coverage there? Quick answer again is no, because it's specific. Because virus outbreak is specifically excluded, and that's the proximate cause of the.
Well, and you gave the key advice, and everybody needs to hear it as time ticks on for us here that. You need to check your policies. You need to pull it out. Among the many things you're probably doing in most every business that might be listening, if you will, today, is you're running down in your mind or you have a printed checklist. You're checking things, suppliers, availability, employees. But one of the things you need to do is pull out your insurance and look to see if just maybe you might have some coverage for business interruption, because obviously that's going to happen in a lot of places, if not all places, at some point in this virus, because it kind of spreads here, then it goes there, and it's moved out of China, So we had to keep that in mind. So you may be in good stead today and say, well, I don't need to sweat it, but a month from now or whatever, from what I understand, it may come knocking on your door in your town, your county, and your state in a big way. So I think you've offered sage advice. And the key back here is your insurance agent, your insurance consultant needs to help you through that, because most small business people are not experienced or have training how to read some parts of these policies.
Right.
So your agent, your consultant in insurance needs a phone call, needs an email, and needs to tell you what exactly you have for coverage and what you don't have. Well, Adam, we're kind of coming down to the end of this segment. Gosh, lots of other things to talk about. But one thing I'd like to leave people, I think it's a positive thing, if you could address this in a brief moment or two, is why do small business people, need business insurance? I know that's a big, broad question, but so many times small businesses try to cut corners because they don't have the capital, and so they don't buy certain things, they don't purchase certain things. They do a lot of things themselves, stay there late at night, finishing out the store and that kind of thing. But why is it so important when I open a new business that I buy business insurance?
So it is kind of it's kind of leading, but I'll tell you what I mean by that. Do you need business insurance? Well, the answer is yeah, you do. Do you want business insurance? Most people don't, because they don't want to pay the premium. Would you be able to afford the business? So let's say you're a plumber. Would you be able to go and work in somebody's $500,000 house if you knew that you did some silly mistake and it wasn't your fault, but something happened and you now have to pay for that $500,000 house? Would you go work in $500,000 houses, or would you stick to very, very low-end housing and that's all the work you do? So it allows you to work beyond your means. It also allows you to live beyond your means. So would you drive a $75,000 vehicle or a $25,000 or a $10,000 vehicle if you knew that you wrap that thing around a tree, you've got to pay for it yourself? And you wouldn't. So it allows you to live beyond your means. So that's kind of the general concept. The main reason why I look at business insurance and depending on what type we're talking about, your liabilities, your property coverage, your work comp, your commercial autos, whatever type of insurance that we're talking about, we want to make sure that you get to stay a business owner when something happens today that'll put you out of business tomorrow. And it's not hard. If you have an employee, you're a restaurant and an employee ends up lopping a toe off. Well, that'd be kind of interesting, but weird things happen. Would you be able to would you be able to afford that medical bill and the lost wages? Well, let's make it worse. The employee passes away. Would you be able to help that family that's lost an employee or lost a loved one continue on? No, somebody else gets to own your business if you don't have the right insurances. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah, and I think so many times people discount their sweat equity, and they need to always remember that has value. And I think it's very, very important that people analyze it. In reality, right, is that somebody else is going to make you carry insurance whether you do or not. The landlord, the job you're working on, whatever, if you subcontract. So I think that's important. Well, Adam, we've got a lot of great topics we didn't even touch on today. I love this one, what could go wrong with the wrong insurance, that you had suggested. So I'd love to have you back sometime in the near future to talk about more issues that are coming up. Maybe let this coronavirus play out a little bit, and
Yes,
we'll have a little more information. But if people want to talk to you in the meantime about their insurance, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
There's multiple ways. Best way, though, is 281-417-3000. That's my office number, 281-417-3000. You'll get a hold of any of my licensed staff. You don't get to work in my office if you don't have a license. So you can at least talk somewhat intelligently about insurance, and everybody in our office can do that. You could also email me at akoch@kochig.com.
OneBestConsult.com, a community of small business owners where you as an owner can find answers to the most pressing business questions you have. Not sure who to turn to when you have a challenge in your business? Turn to the folks at OneBestConsult.com. That's the number one, bestconsult.com, where you can always find advice you can use based on common sense business experience. Join our community of like-minded business owners at OneBestConsult.com.